Oh, thank you, everyone, and good morning. How's everybody today? Good. You know, it's lovely to see you here today. I know that as we're moving into the season of autumn, which is coming up fairly soon, that when we get a really nice Sunday, it's nice to be out playing. So I really am pleased to see some of you today and look forward to chatting with you afterward. And as I was driving here today, and I was staying with a friend out in White Rock, and I was just thinking about how absolutely beautiful everything is, and you know, on such a lovely warm day. And the words of Edwina Gaines went through my head. How many of you are familiar with her work? She is basically the maven of prosperity, and she teaches in churches all over the world. And she's quite elderly now, but she just has never lost any of her energy or enthusiasm for teaching. And she opened every workshop she ever did, every talk, every radio show, with the words, "I'm on top of the world, I have money in the bank, and everybody loves me." And as those words were going through my mind this morning, I thought, yeah, you know, let's do that. So, you know, after me, I'm on top of the world. I have money in the bank. Everybody loves me. Okay, one more time. You can do better. You're good, but you can do better. Okay, I'm on top of the world. I have money in the bank, and everybody loves me. Bless you all. That's wonderful. I think that it's that kind of thing, it's that kind of passion, that kind of joy that we create within ourselves when we think those kinds of thoughts. And it just heightens our energy and our awareness. And so I invite you now to go deeply into spirit with our own version of the Aromatic Lord's Prayer.
Holy Spirit, creator of life and all, you create a space inside us and fill it with your presence. Your oneness now prevails. Your one desire flows through ours as energy fills our forms. You give us this destiny of life. Now these words are fertile ground from which our future grows. Amen.
And so as you're seated, let us all just go into our heart of Sacred Hearts, knowing that the Holy Presence, whatever you call it, I call it God, Source, Spirit, the universe, all that is, just feel that presence within. The softness, the gentleness, the compassion, the love. And know that this brilliant, shining light of the divine is not only all around you, but it lives inside you. And in this light, let us absorb these words today. The God in me beholds the God in you. Namaste. In these words that hold me so gently, I find peace and strength and love and wisdom. And it is the peace of God in which I feel the love of the Holy Presence. It is in me, and it is in you. I'm so fully conscious of this love, of this protection. Anything other than the perfection of God slips away from me, just as the mist fades in the morning light. I am God's precious child, all perfect and complete in every way. And as it is for me, it is for you. For I see God I see good in everything, in everyone. God personified in all people. And today I bestow the essence of love upon everything, on everyone, knowing that as we do, we are conscious of each and every one being brother and sister to one another, brother and sister in spirit, for we are one in spirit in God. And let us think on those words in the silence for a moment or two. And in this silence, we have become totally empty. Our hearts are at peace. Amidst the rush of worldly comings and goings, we find that endings become new beginnings. Everything flourishes, only to return to the source, to what is and what is to be. To return to the root, we find peace. And in peace, we fulfill our destiny. And so, beloved God, today we thank you for this day. We thank you for our safety and the safety of our loved ones. And in this day, you give us peace. May it bring healing to our minds and bodies. And may we be blessings to the world. Where there is pain, where there are people who have no place to sleep, those who suffer, those who die, may your angels come unto them and minister to their lives. And let the light stream in for greater service to you. May the light that surrounds us shine through us all, softening our hearts. Thank you, beloved. May only the love remain. I surrender all else to be transformed. And in the silence that follows, I give to God who I am, what I did, whom I loved, whom I failed to love, knowing that this holy presence makes all things right. And as it does for me, it does for you. And may we continue to grow in light and in love, always remembering the God in me beholds the God in you. Namaste.
I tell myself that I'm so lucky to be loving you, so lucky to be the one you run to see in the evening when the day is through. I only know what I know. The passing years will show. You've kept my love so young, so new. And time after time, you'll hear me say that I'm so lucky to be loving you. I only know what I know. The passing years will show. You've kept my love so young, so new. And time after time, you hear me say that I'm so lucky to be loving you. So lucky to be loving you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, thank you so much for that beautiful music. I was just thinking as I was listening that I have some playlists, and one of them is for some of those wonderful old tunes, and that's one of them. And I was visiting my family one part of my family in Toronto, and one of my granddaughters, who's in her late teens, was in her room studying, and I was playing a playlist, and all of a sudden she emerged and she said, "What's that music?" And so I showed her, and she said, "Oh, can you send it to me?" You know, she said, "I really." So anyway, the next few days she was playing that music, and I thought, "There's hope." and then her boyfriend came over to visit, and all of a sudden we're listening to rap. But I loved it that for that time she showed her appreciation, and I know that she will in the future. And thank you for reminding me of that today. Just really, really lovely. Thank you. Touched my heart. Oh, so, you know, when we were opening, I was quoting Edwin Gaines. And last night, somebody posted something on Instagram, you know, that we're not always feeling up. We're not always super happy and excited about life. And what this bit on Instagram said was, you know, sometimes you're feeling blue. And sometimes you just need somebody to give you a hug. And you need somebody to hold you and tell you that everything is going to be okay. And you need them to give you chocolate. And you need them to give you $6 million. I laughed so hard, and it has nothing to do really with what I'm talking about today, but it just tickled my funny bone, and I thought, oh, I have to share that with somebody, so sharing it with you today. And so my talk today, Alive, Awake, and Aware, is really about being in that creative space. I mean, we all have that power within us, the power to create our lives the way that we want them to look, and to have the things in our lives the way that we want, and to be who we really want to be in the fullest expression of who we are. And so I have this quote from Michael Beckwith. Does everybody know who Michael Beckwith is? Okay. Amazing, amazing minister and teacher who has now taught many other ministers. And Michael wrote, "It's good to know that a chair works, but you have to have faith to sit in it." Isn't that the truth? I mean, have you found a chair that's a little bit wobbly and you think, is this going to hold me, or when I sit down, is it going to fall apart? And he says, while it's good to know that God is everywhere, you have to have faith to actually allow that to be the activity of your awareness and to choose from there. You have to speak from there, share from there, and live from there. And so what he was saying is that we are really called to live and to be faith in our lives, to follow our faith. And it's kind of an interesting thing to consider, because I think that most of us might say, well, we slip in and out of it from time to time. But I'm here to tell you that you never slip out of it. I mean, I have people who come to me for prayer and they say, I've lost my faith. I just don't have faith anymore. And I said, sure you do. You just demonstrated it. And they'll say, what are you talking about? And I said, you have faith that you don't have faith anymore. Faith can work in negative or in positive ways. You can have faith that everything in your life is brilliant and wonderful. For example, you wake up in the morning and you're lying there in bed, and as Wayne Dyer used to say, I wasn't with him, but he said this in the morning when he woke up. Good morning, God. Not, my God, it's morning. And so when we wake up, good morning, God, and we think, this is the beginning of a perfect day. And how good that feels. And you put a smile on your face whether you're really feeling like it or not. And then as you kind of wake up a little bit more and you're smiling, you get out of bed, and suddenly you stub your toe and you think, this was not on my mind for today. I wasn't planning on stubbing my toe today on this perfect day. And then you go about your morning things and you look in the mirror and you say, I'm having a bad hair day. And gradually you think, well, it was going to be a perfect day, and now everything's starting to go wrong. You're putting doubt into what you began to create as you woke up in the morning. And that doubt, we could say, is a lack of faith, but it is also a faith that everything is now going to start going wrong. And so we need to, more than be saying, well, I'm lacking faith, know that we always have it, but is it working for us in a positive way? Or is it working for us in a negative way? Because it's really, really important to consider those things. So as we're thinking about them, I was thinking, we really need to have some passion behind our words, particularly when we are wanting to create something better in our lives. And we read books, we take classes, we study, we pray, we meditate, and some people are into a lot of affirmations, and they've been told, well, you write this affirmation 100 times, 3 times a day, or even more when you think about it, and you're programming yourself. And that may be true for some people, but for me, what happens is I just get bored. It becomes rote. Like saying the old Lord's Prayer that I learned as a child, where I never even thought about what it meant when I was a child, or not until I got a lot older. And we have this beautiful translation now. And so, if we're bored by the affirmations, we're not putting the kind of energy behind them that we need. And so, it's a matter of getting into that place of passion, where we start to realize that. That there is excitement and enthusiasm, and there are feelings, a feeling nature that is the most important thing. I'm on top of the world. I've got money in the bank and everybody loves me. It's bringing me forward into a place of feeling alive and awake and aware. And as I was thinking about this several days ago, I was thinking, I'm pretty much doing similar things every day. And I haven't been thinking much about how I want my life to look in the future. And so I thought, okay, so what do I still want to do? And I thought, just give yourself a couple of moments, stream of consciousness. And in a couple of minutes, I had 10 items on my list. I guess some would call it a bucket list. But what happened as I was thinking of these things is I felt this excitement within, and I felt this passion. I thought, can't wait to get started on that. And I've started on the first one. But I needed to do that, to have those thoughts, to have that desire, to have this place imprinted in my mind so that I would get myself moving. And it wasn't anything that was fake. It was as soon as I thought about it, I thought, oh, I put that aside a few years ago. I just want to get back at that right now. I felt all of this rising up within me, and so my next project that I'm working on now is something that I'm excited about and enthusiastic about and that I work on every day. And I was thinking about, we can do these kinds of things, and we pray and we meditate. But sometimes when we're feeling troubled, when we're feeling frightened, all of a sudden there's that grit. We say, nothing is going to stop me. I am in this. This is happening. I refuse to accept anything but. And so I always try to think of an example to make it more meaningful. And I was thinking about a number of years ago, I was in Banff, and I had booked to do a workshop with Marianne Williamson in Oakland, California. And so I had a flight booked to San Francisco and a car rented to drive from San Francisco across the bridge to Oakland. And it was a Friday. I was flying on Friday, and the workshop was opening at 5 o'clock that day. Anyway, I just got outside of Banff, and I had a flat tire. And fortunately, it was on the highway with a service station right nearby. So I was able to get the tire changed. But I was then running late. And I thought, I'm making that plane. I'm on that plane. I see myself on that plane. Nothing is going to stop me from being on that plane. And as I pulled, I was a little heavy on the gas or on the pedal, but as I got into the airport parking, there was a bus there that could take me to the terminal building. And I was looking at the time, and I thought, the plane is boarding already. Anyway, I thought, doesn't matter, I'm on that plane. And this sheer determination. And so I ran into the terminal, carrying my bag in, and there was no one at the Air Canada desk. Everybody had, signed out. And I stood there, and I thought, I'm getting on that plane, but I don't know how without a boarding pass. And then I saw a little office with Air Canada written above it. And I walked into the office, and there were two women who work on the check-in desks. They were in uniform, and they were there, and I said, excuse me, but I have a ticket for the flight to San Francisco, and I realize that you've closed things off, but I need a boarding pass right now. I am going to be on that flight today. I have to be. And they said, sorry, there's no way. It's too late. We've closed everything. And I said, I need a boarding pass. I'm going to San Francisco, and I'm going on that flight. And they weren't paying any attention, so I just stood there. What I learned was if you just stand there, it makes people really uncomfortable. I just stood looking at them, and finally one of the women went over, and she printed off a boarding pass and handed it to me, and she said, you better run for the gate. There was an expletive in there. And she said, your suitcase will never make it, but you'll get on. You might get on if you get to the gate before they close the door on the plane. And I said, I'm on that plane. So I went running through and got through security really quickly and boarded the plane. And then I sat down, and I was sitting there kind of playing with my mind, thinking, this is just going to be such a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and I'm so looking forward to doing something with Marianne. And then I thought about my bag, and I thought, no problem, my bag is going to be there. And just forgot about everything and settled down, enjoyed the flight, did some reading. And I got into San Francisco, and by the time I got to the baggage carousel, there was my bag. It was the only one that had come out, and it had come out first. I don't know how they got it on the flight, but God got it on the flight. I mean, I was refusing to accept anything but, and it was passionate. When we're in that state of not going to let anything stop me, not going to let anything stop this, it happens because and it happens quickly. But the thing is that, we often can't stir that up inside ourselves. We're overcome by fear, or we think, I have to accept what somebody else said. It just isn't possible. Everything is possible. We don't ever have to say that we can't do it or that it won't happen. You know, there are voices in our heads, voices that we remember from long ago, voices that we remember from when we were little children. And I always say that I was really fortunate because I had hardly any parenting. I mean, and this is not a sad story, but my parents were just never really there in my life. My mother was ill a lot and hospitalized. And, you know, I got to, you know, just be home. And I was very self-sufficient at age 2. There was a church a couple of doors down the street from us, and one summer morning I heard music, and I wandered into the church and went up to the front pew and sat down. And the preacher probably thought I belonged to somebody in the back. And I just, that was it. Every Sunday after that, I found my way to that church. And then I would go home, and I had cousins all around me, and I would line them up on the fence and preach to them. And one of my cousins, Jackie, who was a few years older than I, quite a few years older than I, he was a teenager. And he stood looking at me, and I was telling him how much Jesus loved us. And he said, "I don't believe in Jesus." And I called him a nasty name that I learned from my father. And my father was home that day, it was Sunday, and he came out and he picked me up by the dress and gave me one smack on the bottom and carried me in and put me in my crib. Now that gives you some idea of how old I was. I mean, I was born talking, so it wasn't anything for me to be preaching at age 2. But gradually, my punishment when I was really, really bad, and I don't know what I did that was really, really bad, but my punishment was that I was not allowed to go to church on Sunday. I mean, that's how much it meant to me to go to church, because I loved Jesus with all my heart. And I just wanted to talk about Jesus all the time. And the thing is, my mother, she had mental illness, and she was hospitalized a lot, but when she was around, she'd say, "Oh, don't talk." We're not even aware sometimes of where those stories came from. And I'm constantly, I have a practitioner class, and I'm constantly saying to my people, you know that you're clearing things from yesterday and last week and last year. But are you prepared to go back to your childhood and meditate and to clear what you need to clear from there that is influencing everything in your life right now? And and then I would name some examples, but the one that for me is the most profound is my granddaughter Sadie, whom I referenced earlier. When she was 2.5, she was in Switzerland, and I was visiting, and I took her to a park, and she was swinging, and she was singing an Abbra song, "Hands Up, Baby, Baby, Hands Up, Give Me Your Heart." I'd never heard the song before. And I took her home, and her mom said, "We don't know where she learned that song. We don't own it. We've never played it." And her baby sister was born a few weeks later, and Sadie was in the living room holding Jemima's hands and going like clapping her hands together, singing, "Hands up, baby, baby, hands up, give me your heart." Anyway, when I came home, a very dear friend of mine and I had lunch, and his daughter, who called me her other mom, had been a nanny to my granddaughter for the first 3 months of her life, where she lived with my family in Switzerland, and she helped out. Whatever is there that is holding us back in some way, and we don't need to identify what it is. We just need to surrender to God anything that is not helping us right now. We really need to be in that place of total belief that everything is possible, and to let our beautiful lights shine.
I'm gonna love you like nobody's loved you, come rain or come shine. High as a mountain and deep as a river, come rain or come shine. I guess when you met me, it was just one of those things. But don't ever bet me, 'cause I'm gonna be true if you let me. You're gonna love me like nobody's loved me, come rain or come shine. Happy together, unhappy together, and won't that be fine? Days may be cloudy or sunny, we're in or we're out of the money, but I'm with you always, I'm with you rain or shine. You're gonna love me like nobody's loved me, come rain or come shine. Happy together, unhappy together, and won't that be fine? Days may be cloudy or sunny, we're in or we're out of money, but I'm with you always, I'm with you rain or I'm with you always, I'm with you rain, I'm with you always, I'm with you rain, oh shine. Thank
Thank you. So, one of the things that I realized, I guess I didn't realize it really until 20 years ago, 25 years ago when I was studying. My teacher asked people in the class to send out an email to 5 friends and to ask them for 3 words that best described them. And so, I did that. And it's an interesting thing to do because you might be surprised at what comes back. And out of the 5 words, there were 2 words that absolutely everybody used for me, all 5 people. The first was fearless. And I never had really thought about it, but I thought, yeah, I've never really been afraid of very much. And the second was more than 1 word. It was everything is possible. And I thought, yeah, I was naive in so many ways, but I always had faith that everything was possible. And I remember again as a little kid going to a birthday party, and in those days everybody played bingo. And so I thought, I'm going to win every game. And I had this card, I thought, I have the lucky card. And I was winning every game until the little girl's mother came and took my card away and said, you've won enough. And she gave the card to somebody else who then won. In the summer, grew up in Calgary. The Calgary Stampede would be on, and my mother, bless her, that was my adoptive mom, but she wasn't really capable of looking after us, and I did have a little brother who was 2 years younger than I. So when I don't know if I was 5 or 6, but we were each given $5 and sent to the bus stop a little bit down the street to go to the Calgary Stampede. I have no idea how we got there, but we did. And then we would be at the Stampede all day, and I would find the bingo booth and would be playing bingo so I could take home prizes to my mother. I mean, when I think of those things now and I think of little children being put on a bus to go to a place like the Stampede, we wouldn't be doing that today. But again, I had that sense of everything was fine, I wasn't afraid, and everything was possible. And I didn't realize how much that had stayed with me. And I've been teased about it by adults along the way, but I thought, I'd rather have that in my genes, because I must have, from my biological parents, I must have had, something that said things are possible and that I can do anything if I believe. And the thing is that I realize is that we have to banish doubt. And sometimes that's the really tough thing to do. When we feel that rising, I'm not sure if I can do that, is to push it aside, surrender it to God, and say, with God, all things are possible. And then to allow that to sink in and to do our prayer and our meditation around that, feeling the presence, because when we're feeling that explosion of warmth and love in our hearts, we are creating more than we might ever have believed. And then we have to cultivate the witness in us as us. And what that means is we are so much more than our physical selves. You know, close your eyes for a moment. And, you know, just imagine in your heart center this beautiful, dazzling white light that is the light of the divine. And as you're doing that, you know, be aware of your breath, just naturally, easily. You don't have to breathe in any special way. Just be aware of your breath. Now, note the thoughts that are going through. Witness the thoughts that are wanting to go through your mind. One or two of them right now. Just witness them. And now observe your body. You know, observe your body. What does it feel like? Are you comfortable? Do you have pain anywhere in your body? Do you have anxiety anywhere? You know, send that beautiful light to any place that is not feeling absolutely perfect right here and right now. Okay. Now you can open your eyes now. Ask yourself the question, who is it who was aware of my breath? And who is it who was witnessing my thoughts? And who is it who was observing my body? It is a higher awareness of ourselves. It is that enormous soul, spirit that we are, that is everywhere, not just confined to our brains, which are an organ of thought. And so we have to cultivate that witness so that we're observing things that are going on in our lives, observing our thoughts, and making decisions about them. I remember Wayne Dyer saying that he wanted to play tennis and he'd broken a toe and he felt he couldn't play tennis because his toe was really hurt. And then he stood there thinking, but I really want to play tennis. I'm sure I can do it. So he went out and he played a game of tennis and he didn't feel any pain at all. And his toe healed really quickly and he continued to play tennis. And I thought about that and I thought, you know, if you cut your finger, you know, and it's unpleasant, it hurts. But you've got a busy day and you carry on with your day, you've bandaged your finger, and you don't even notice it. And then you go to bed at night, and all of a sudden, all you can feel is that finger throbbing, you know, because your mind has suddenly come back. It has come aware to something in your physical body. And really, you can put your, you know, I'm using my little finger here, but you can put your hand around that finger and bless it. And just say there's not a spot where God is not. And allow your mind to go to some other place. Now, a lot of people who meditate come to me and say, I can't meditate. My mind is too busy. And I remind them, Marianne Williamson said, for the first 10 minutes that she meditates, she's hysterical. She just can't get into the zone. But 10 minutes later, all of a sudden, everything happens. So I was experimenting with this a couple of weeks ago, and I asked people to close their eyes and to just repeat, and you can do this later, not here today necessarily, but I said, just when you close your eyes and you've got monkey mind going on, just tell yourself, you know, I wonder what my next thought is going to be. I wonder what my next thought will be. I wonder what my next thought will be. And what you'll find is that all of a sudden you're in a place of no thoughts. And I said, it's like a mantra. If people have done transcendental meditation, they've been given mantras. But you can choose your own mantra. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be God is, I am, or, you know, whatever is comfortable for you. But or it can be, I wonder what my next thought is going to be. Because the point will come where you just sink into meditation because you don't have anything at all going through your mind. So what we have to do is stop the monkey mind. You know, most of the time we're functioning like somebody throws a pebble on a pond and everything's rippling around and there's a disturbance, or the wind is blowing on it, or it's snowing or raining. You know, we need to sink to the bottom, like the pebble. We need to sink to the bottom where there's silence, and we need to go into total silence. As my favorite expression is, in the silence there are many answers. That's where I find the answers to my life. And so I invite you to work on that. So again, banish the doubt, become the witness, and then go into the silence. And as you do, you'll find yourself becoming more and more alive, awake and aware, excited about life, and everything becomes possible. And you are beings of infinite possibility. And so it is. Thank you.
I believe for every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the darkest night a candle glows. I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come to show the way. I believe above the storm, a smallest prayer can still be heard. I believe that someone in the great somewhere hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why. I believe. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why. I
Oh my goodness, that was wonderful. Let's hear it one more time for Bill Costin and Tom Pickett. And let's thank Carrie one more time for shining her light so brightly today. And now we come to the time in our gathering where we demonstrate our faith in spirit through our freely given love offerings. Begin this process today by becoming still for a moment and giving thanks for all the blessings in your life, your health, your relationships, your prosperity. Give thanks for the fact that you are continually supplied by Spirit, and that Spirit always ensures you have more than enough. Feel gratitude in the fact that Spirit has made you able to do your part in supporting your spiritual community. Give thanks and know that you are a powerful, creative force in the world. And let us take pleasure in our giving because we know it makes the world a better place. And let's say our offering statement together now. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. And if you're here in person, please drop off your donation with the ushers as you exit the sanctuary. And to donate online, simply click on the donate link in your chat window, which will allow you to give via all major credit cards, and you can also give by e-transfer, which can be addressed to donations at unityofvancouver.org.